Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and I'm not going to do this entire thing because the video would be too long, but this is relatively easy. I drew this in just a few minutes, and I'm just going to give you a few handy step rules, or not rules, but a few handy ideas. So we're going to take the one I drew, and we're going to nudge it out of the way. And we're going to put our new one in the center, and I am going to lock it, because I don't want it moving around when I'm trying to draw on it. So a couple of things, and this is just how I would do it. I would take my 3-point curve line and go from about the middle of that line to the middle of that line and then arch it and try to keep it even. I'm going to turn that line yellow, and I'm actually going to click on it, and I'm going to make it a 1-inch line so you can see it on the video. And you can see we're just a little bit off, but you could take your more time, if you're doing this for real. And I think he's just going to print this because I don't think, you know what I'm going to do for this? I'm going to make my pen tool. If you'll double click, nothing selected, and we're going to make it yellow because I'm going to draw in yellow because I'm going to be drawing over the map. And then I'm going to make it that 1-point-inch line. And then anything I draw is going to be in that format. So I won't have to go and change it a lot. Now, drawing in a hairline sometimes could help, but you're drawing in a hairline basically now until you click it. And then you just take your time and, maybe move this thing down a little bit. You just want your arch to be kind of the same. I think we're pretty good. You could move that one up just a hair. And then, let me move something out of the way. These lines would be next. And for them, I would just use a 2-point line. There are several ways to do this, but since we're going to draw with this yellow line, I'm just going to kind of mimic the line, the straightness of the line. I don't think anybody's going to use this for a meter. I think he's just going to use it for printing on something. I don't know what. And you can see that one actually goes all the way through. So what we're going to do, we're going to go all the way through, and then we can fix that later. And that way that line will kind of be there. And then we're just going to, I don't like that. Let me zoom in a little bit. And just try to go from the center. Might be easier to go from the center up. You want it relatively, well, it's even showing you it's perpendicular. And that one didn't show, so I'm not really perpendicular. And I'm thinking that's working with the curve. Look at that. So if you go from down to up, it'll say perpendicular. I'm going to actually delete this one and redraw it. So the one I drew earlier, I didn't even notice that. Because that one I was drawing in a hairline, I was going to change it. You see how it's drawing it perpendicular, which is going to be around that radius. And don't worry too much about links right now. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, and don't worry about these corners because we're going to fix them in just a second. Then I'd go ahead and do the other side. Now it's not going to do perpendicular on this one. But unless you're going to be actually using this for a dial, I don't think these really matter. You could take a lot more time than I'm taking. That I do not like. Now, once you've got them done, what I would do is you can take the shape tool and move it around, and it'll be anchored from the top. Because you kind of want to go along that curvature. And then we could take our virtual segment delete key and delete that line. Those two are the same. And then on this corner, we're going to click on this line, hold down the shift key, click on this line, grab those two, go up to Windows, Dockers, join curves, join corners, and just hit apply. No, that's not what I want. Windows, Dockers, join curves, that's what I said. And I've actually made a hotkey for J, and there, for some reason, it's a little bit off. So let's do this. Let's make this line a little bit shorter. Select both those and see what it did. It made that line good. And then just real quickly, this here to me would be a rectangle, but it's curved. So we're gonna just real quick, I can't stand to leave something unfinished. Hold down the shift key, select the other line, select those both. And if you watch some videos, I've made a hotkey for doing this. Matter of fact, we're gonna do it right here when I draw this last line. I'm gonna go from the bottom up, and we're not there. So I'm gonna select it with the shift key, hold down the shift key or the select key, the shift key, I mean. Let's tell you what, let's get a little closer first and then select them both. And I'm just gonna hit J, and it came over the hotkey to join that. Of course, I'm not on it close enough, so it's not gonna cooperate. You need to be pretty much on it. Then grab both of them and just hit J, and my tolerance is a little, see, it just made a good clean corner. Now, and this one's a little bit different, but if we use the 3-point curve line, which I love, and just go from the bottom there to the bottom there and then kind of select the middle. This one I really should draw in hairline, but I'm not going to. Change. And then go from node to node. That you'd probably be better to use the 2-point line on, because you have to kind of move the 3-point curve line. Let's tell you what, let's back up and let's use the 2-point line on drawing 2 points. And if you notice, then we're doing the same thing, but we have these corners not there. That doesn't really matter in a way. I drew it with hairline. Tell you what, let's do that. Let's draw that with hairline. Let's go back to a hairline, double click on your pen tool, go with graphic, go with hairline. And with hairlines, you can get right on top of those nodes, because we're basically going to just draw this and then fill it in. And if you have no interest in doing stuff like this, just stop watching. I just trying to help this one person, and I like drawing like this. But if you go from node to node, whoop, let me back up here. I grab the 2-point, I need the 2-point line. Now it's connected those two. So let's back up, get the 2-point line, and go from that node to that node. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually just take this and use a smart fill tool, and I'm gonna fill that in with red. I'm gonna take away our line so it won't interfere. Now this, I'm gonna just do the old school way. It's the same thing. Matter of fact, I'm not gonna do these because that would be the same. Now, the hardest part is probably getting these numbers. Normally, when you do text to path, you have a circle and you have a center of the circle. Well, you don't have a center of this. It's an oval. And then when you do a raw and oval, where's the center? Well, this is where your 3-point curve line can come in. Go from the bottom of that 2 to kind of the bottom of that 3 and just go up, get your text to path. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to turn it red so you can see it. And then I'm just going to type. And don't worry about it, the numbers too much. I'm going to type 20, spacebar 10, spacebar 7, spacebar 5, spacebar 3, spacebar 2, spacebar 1, spacebar 0, spacebar 0, spacebar 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to make them the approximate size, but here's kind of the secret of this, or it's not really a secret. Open up your Docker and properties and see how long this curve is. Well, it's 13.3, actually 13.31. We're going to make this 13.31 long. Let's get rid of our Docker real quick. And you always want to kind of check this first. And it's going left to right, so it's going to work. Sometimes if you drew it the other way, it's not going to work. Grab your text, go to text to path, and put it on. I must not have had the path or the text selected. And just get it till you see that red line. Now, here's kind of the key. Select it all and nudge it right back over. Well, you see our numbers aren't the same, but we can very easily fix that. Grab your 2 and move it over. Grab your 0 and move it over. Grab your 1, and you could do the individual lines, or you can hold down the shift key. Now my text is a little bit bigger than the other one, but I think we can fix that if we just select the text. And this is what's so nice about having it right there. So it's 8. Let's go 80. That's much better. It'd probably be a little bit less, but then just take your shape tool, and your shape tool, you can move these individual letters around, or individual numbers. And you're putting them on this curve, which is the nice part. And since we're kind of doing it where they should be, they should line up with these bars. And then once again, my numbers are a little bit bigger. I typed in an extra 2. Well, we're gonna figure out how to get rid of that in just a second. Let's just put it way over here. Let's take the 1, and you would have picked up a font maybe closer to that. And then the 3. We need to, it's surprisingly, let's see if we can't go to, well, I don't know how to get rid of that 2. Well, I'll be able to get rid of it, I have no doubt. I just don't want to mess up my 3. So let's go and just, grab the whole thing. Get the shape tool, pick on our 3 and move our 3 to there. I am going to leave it, but what you can do, and I know this will work, go up to Object, okay, I got to select the whole thing because it's on a text to path, break the 25 objects apart. Now we should be able to get rid of that 2, and if we just grab that 2, nope, we got rid of all of it. Back up, go to Object. Maybe I didn't break it apart. There we go. Got rid of the 2. Now, you know, the plus sign, relatively easy. Just take you 2 rectangles. Let's put them in red. Control D, rotate it 90 degrees. And this is what's so nice about having this locked. I won't select it. I'd go ahead and weld this, make it red, and then just put it in that spot. Let's zoom in a little bit and just rotate it. This is what's so nice about having the original just sitting there, because we can get pretty close, and then we can move it over just a hair. And then the plus sign or the minus sign on the other end, the letters are the same. You know, we'll just type in, I think that stands for volt. It's like a voltmeter. Click off of it, make it bold, make it a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna do one more thing, and then I'm gonna kind of show you how to finish this up. Whoop. I need to get to the, you know, just kind of rotate it. It's really hard to increase it once it's kind of rotated. I don't like making my videos this long, but I don't know if this video warrants another video. So we're gonna get the polygon tool, turn it to three-sided, and make that shape. Put it on top there. Let's go to Dockers, corners. And we rounded the corners to kind of mimic. I had already had it set, but then you could make it pretty much the same size. Hit the plus key on your keyboard. Move that over, holding down the control button so it'll be the same. Now, if I use Control D on that, it would have put it in the same spot. But I started using and I just mirrored it and put it down here. Plus sign. Hold down the control button once you start moving, it'll at least be on the same line. Now you kind of want these in the way that I was looking at the picture, you kind of want these spaced out pretty good, and there's several ways you could do that. Tell you what, let's click off of it, and let's move our nudge factor something pretty low, 0.01, and let's take this one and nudge it over. We want them almost identical, because then what we can do, we can make the outline thicker, and they'll kind of like rub together. Let's make them black, and then let's fill them in with black. And then I'm not going to do the waves. It's the same thing. The meter would be kind of neat, and I think I could actually draw the meter needle better than it looks. Let's take a 2-point line, go from that to down here, and this is kind of the key. Let's make it thicker. Let's go with that same 1 point. But here's kind of the key that I think it'll make it look better. And we're going to make the whole thing black in just a second. But you could do these numbers the same way. We're going to convert this to an object. And by doing that, now I can take the shape tool and I can make my needle a little bit thicker on the bottom to give it more of a needle look. Now, here's kind of the key, and I didn't finish it, but go up to Object, Lock, and Unlock All, and then, well, I've set my nudge factor back. Let's nudge this out of the way, 16 inches. Let's nudge this out of the way. And then everything that's, you want red, first of all, we need to select that, go up to Object, maybe I've already taken it off because I broke it apart, just get rid of that line. And then everything's black except for this. Let's do this. Let's select that and get them out of the way. And let's select everything and make them black lines. We don't really need this line, so we're going to delete it and then take everything and put it back. Somehow I did not put those lines in, but they're the same, and you would just use red lines. And then once you get the name in there, I think that's pretty cool. I did the first one a lot faster because I wasn't really talking, but I think it looks pretty much like a voltmeter. And then you could make a box around it, make it look like a real voltmeter. He mentioned something about the highlights, and that could be done, and maybe in a couple of days I'll look at that and how you could do that. I guess he is going to print it. Anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.